Hey guys, it's Aaron back with another review for you, and today I'm going to be talking about the 1995 film Assassin, starring Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas, and Julianne Moore. Let's got my notes, let's dive right in. So, this basically is a film of Sylvester Stallone is an ex assassin, and has like the contact lists or contract hits and all that kind of thing, and he is being recruited to stop Antonio Banderas, a current assassin who's kind of gone like rogue, I guess, and he's like a bad guy. And they also stumble upon Julianne Moore, who is a computer hack, and she has some technology that Banderas wants, so we got to protect her as well. So I remember watching this film the first time. I was probably like 7 or 8. I remember we used to go to the Army Navy game every year with my dad and my papa, and we would see my brother and I. We of course after the game would like watch movies and whatever. And this film was on like all weekend, like it was on all the time. And I just remember like when I watched it back then, and it was awesome. Like we all watched it together, and it was just a great film. And I saw it on TV, and I was like, I haven't seen it for a while. I'll record it, so I did, and here we are. Well, starting off in the very beginning, Sylvester Stallone busts out with a gun cast, and it is badass. He just kind of like, and it's just there, and it's just like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we want to see in these, kind of films. And it's awesome. And then when they finally meet, when Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas first meet for the first time, it's a pretty cool standstill actually. They Sylvester Stallone is pretending to be a cab driver, and if he picks up Antonio Banderas' affair, and the glass, um, the partition in between them is, if one of them shoots, they both have their guns on each other, and if one of them shoots, the other one's going to get out of the car. And so finally, Banderas looks over, and there's a soccer game going on, and he threatens. He's like, if you don't, you know, get bent and let me go, I'm going to shoot these kids. And so to show that he means business, he shoots the soccer ball, and then Sylvester Stallone complies and lets him go, but thinking he's just going to whip around and get him, and he gets away. But it was a pretty cool standoff. I mean, you don't really see that kind of stuff in films like this, at least not that I've ever seen, or since I haven't seen it. But yeah, it was pretty intense, pretty cool standoff right there, like I said. And then we see Julianne Moore, who spies on her neighbors for some reason. It's like, oh yay, Julianne Moore. I'm not a fan, and she's. I, I think it's her. I used to think it was, well, maybe she's just miscast in films, but I don't like her. But we just see her spying on her neighbors for really no apparent reason. And she is the sassy sales tech, of underground merchandise that we find out that Banderas wants, and he's trying to get, and so he's going after her, and then Sutherland's going after him. So that's how she gets dragged into this. But she has this cat that she's obsessed with, and I understand that. I'm obsessed with my churches, but she like I said, I think it's just miscast. I mean, maybe the role wasn't that great, but I'm not a big Julianne Moore fan, like I said, and she might have just been miscast. I don't believe her as, the badass female, um, rogue, whatever, give me, I don't know, somebody else, you know what I mean? Give me Kim Basinger. She was cool in LA Confidential. She can be the kind of, whatever. But yeah, so like I said, I don't buy it. Anyway, so um, he's so whatever we see throughout the film that Stallone is playing online chess with Banderas. They don't know they're playing with each other, playing against each other, but he does, and so they're he at one point we see him later, and he's sitting there doing, but at this point he's like sitting there like he gets done playing chess, and he starts researching all this stuff, and he's like chomping away at a banana, and it just looks so silly, and I don't know why. I'm just thinking like Sylvester Stallone must have been just following his diet, and he's like, hey, I'll just throw in the part where I eat my protein for the day. Sure, why not? Get some potassium in there while you're at it. It just cracked me up when I saw it, and there's things I didn't notice in the first time I watched it. They there's this one part where they're chasing each other and there's an explosion, and while I do like the authenticity of the explosion, there's no way in the world that Banderas actually is. There's no way that he falls out of this building, which is what happens. They propel him out of this building with the blast, and he survives and isn't injured as much as he is. Like, he kind of just like, he falls down like a huge. I mean, I'm talking probably. I presume it's at least 20, 30 feet off the ground. And he just kind of is like, oh, it kind of hurt, And it's like, you're not Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm sorry, you can't do that. It's, yeah, I just it was a little bit kind of ridiculous. And I understand it's a it's an action film, especially from back in the day. But I guess if it was one of those things where Sylvester Stallone had done it, even though it's a lot more unrealistic, it's a lot more fun. You know what I mean? Because it's Sylvester Stallone, Rambo. Fine, I get that. But the fact that we're supposed to believe it out of the bad guy that does that, I just don't. But so later we see that Julianne Moore's dumbassery, she is the one that she drops the gun. She has a gun pointed at Banderas, and then she drops it, and then almost ruins the plans. And also, her dumbassery is her big plan is to shoot him in the side. You had one job, Julianne Moore. Shoot him in the head. Shoot him in the kidney. Shoot him in something that's going to be a vital, like, oh, he can't run anymore. Shoot him in the freaking Achilles tendon. He'll be down at least. But no, she shoots him in the side. And I'm not saying it didn't hurt, but it doesn't really stop him. He just kind of is like, oh, ow, okay, I'm going now. But, the one thing that I did notice is that we see when we find out at the end of the film, we find out that Stallone has been set up by his old boss, and so Banderas and him together decide they're going to kill the boss because Banderas is like, oh well, screw you, I don't want to work for this kind of a crazy dude. So Stallone and Banderas kill the boss together, and then they draw guns on each other. And Stallone's like, why don't we just let's dude, we're even. Let's just cut it. You don't work for him anymore, blah, blah, blah. And Banderas is basically, his rational thought is like, well, I'm number one. I need to stay number one. And as long as you're out there, I can't be number one. So they have a gun standoff, and Stallone Rambo's him to death. And so that's the end of Puss in Boots. But, that's kind of the end of the film. So looking back, I loved it as a kid, but I think it was one of those like, oh, it's rated R. I'm not really supposed to watch it, even though my dad let us, which whatever. But now looking back at it, I did still enjoy it. I was able to appreciate some of the things I wasn't as much as a kid, and I was able to like the funny things, and I was even the little quirkiness, that may not be the most realistic stuff. I was able to be like, okay, it's quirky, but it's fine. So overall, and Banderas was having fun the whole time. You gotta love that, even if it's not a great film. If the actors and actresses are having fun, that's always great. And Banderas was having a hoot. I think he just loved this character probably. So that's really all I got for it, guys. I honestly, even after all these years, I still enjoyed it, and I would give it a 7 out of 10 overall. Let me know what you guys think. I caught it on HBO on TV, so I think it's probably on Max. If you guys have that, but definitely check it out and let me know what you guys think. But like and subscribe, and tell your friends, and we'll get some stuff going. Alrighty, guys, take it easy. I'll be back with another review soon.